All right. Thank you so much for inviting me, the entire SODACON team, for inviting me over for giving this lightning talk. So today I'm going to be talking about managing machine learning data with the help of Multicloud. Now, a quick introduction about myself. As already mentioned, I'm a Meshmate at Layer 5, which is a service mesh community. And today I'll be talking more about how you use multi-cloud strategies and how they are helpful to build machine learning applications and do analysis or even add multi-cloud to your entire MLOps pipeline. Okay, so some reason it's not. Okay, perfect. So, of course, when it comes to machine learning, right, the end-to-end use case is that you'll start with some data. You will clean up that data, then you'll use that clean data inside of your machine learning model, and you will train your machine learning model on top of that data. And finally, once that training has been done, you will test and conduct rounds of evaluation. And once you're comfortable with the performance of a machine learning model, you'll deploy your model. And of course, today, since we talk about machine learning pipelines, so when we are using machine learning in production, it's not just that we are sending new data to the machine learning model, but a lot of times machine learning is part of a larger workflow where the results that we get from our machine learning model might be used in other places. So the results that you might get, they might have to be stored, and then these results might be stored in some other workflow. So machine learning today is not just a standalone activity, but it's part of the DevOps and MLOps pipelines for various businesses. So of course, it comes at these 3 points that it is basically a data intensive task, right? And of course, you have the pipelines, and of course, my bad. It's not closing. Perfect. My bad. All right. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So basically, it will be data intensive. There will be the machine learning pipelines that, of course, there are, and of course, once you have done the post processing of your data, then that's where the scenario of that what to do with that data, right? So that's where we'll also like to talk about data mobility, because what data mobility enables us to do is that it enables us to transform or translate our data from one platform to another platform. So whether it's like from one cloud to another cloud, or from on-prem to cloud, or from cloud to on-prem, because a lot of times when you're running these machine learning workflows, especially if they are very compute and like compute heavy, you might probably use an on-prem graphic processor or on-prem setup that does that inference, and then you might want to publish those results in a cloud platform. Again, that might be used, that cloud storage could be an S3 bucket. So with machine learning, what we are seeing is that there is a lot of data mobility that is taking place. And this is an example of how, like, your machine learning processes would look like. So this is an example of Walmart and how they use a multi-cloud deployment architecture for their machine learning platform. So at the top, you can see that they have their primary machine learning platform that does the development, deployment, inference, and then of course you're using multiple cloud providers to be able to do things like your whether it's doing compute, or it's basically doing things like ETL, or like huge data pipelines that might be running as part of your data engineering workloads. And of course, one of the benefit of using multi-cloud in that would be, since one of the biggest benefits is cost saving. So the companies can basically use multiple services across these cloud providers and pick and choose which particular service they want to use, and then they can use that inside of their machine learning workflows. But what we are, of course, focused towards is the data mobility part. And here are some of the use cases, right? So of course, the biggest one is dealing with data sets. We know that as part of any machine learning workflow, number one thing that we have to prepare is the data set that will be used for that machine learning workflow. And of course, these data sets can be organized, or they could be collected in multiple ways. There could be a public data set that you might use. A lot of times, of course, if you're working towards very specific use cases, you might not have publicly accessible data, and you might want to create your own data. And data can be defined, data is an arbitrary term, because data for machine learning could mean some textual data, It could even mean large 4K, 8K videos. And you're, of course, doing that inference on the frame by frame on that videos. So you have to store this data somewhere. And of course, again, this could be stored at inside of an S3 bucket, or it could be stored in an on-prem device. So what you are doing is that you're consistently managing these data sets where you're uploading new data and you're downloading your existing data across these multiple public clouds, and then you're using that for doing your data analysis. And these datasets are not just for the first part of the machine learning puzzle, which is the inference or doing like the training, but also post the inference if you're trying to have some data science capabilities with the data that you actually get from the result of your machine learning model. Even that will be used. So you can see that there's a lot of involvement when it comes to dealing with datasets, whether it's preparing new dataset or updating your dataset to better fit the machine learning model. And this will basically require you to transform your data, and then of course translate your data from one cloud object storage to, let's say, a block storage, or for that matter pushing it to an on-prem server where you might run your machine learning workflow. Another use case is, of course, the compute. So again, depending on your workflow, you might have on-prem compute, or let's say on cloud compute, and again that would require you similarly to have to manage your data accordingly. And of course, a lot of times based on your company's decision, they might want to switch from on-prem to cloud, or from one cloud provider to another, again depending on whether it's that the other cloud provider provides better disaster recovery or better cost efficiency when it comes to managing the overall cost of your ML infrastructure. And again, this is kind of a more better breakdown that depending on the type of storage that you decide to choose, or whether you choose specific cloud provider, you can manage that data migration from one cloud to another for your data sets, for the inference data that you collect. And how do we achieve that? And that's where the Strato project from Soda Foundation comes into picture, because the Strato project allows you to connect multiple S3 storage, whether it's from Huawei Cloud or any other specific cloud, and then you can very easily, with the help of the UI that comes, or the dashboard for Strato, you are able to manage your data very easily with the help of these platform. And of course, you can also leverage this to potentially manage with on-prem as well. But this is primarily the main benefit of using Strato, because it also does provide support for being able to have multiple types of storage, whether it's object storage or block storage. And you can leverage the Soda Foundation Strato project for that use case specifically. And of course, this is a quick overview of how the Strato project works behind the scenes. This probably might have been covered today, but of course, when it comes specifically to having larger data pipelines, and where you might be streaming your data and building an event streaming platform, and using tools like Apache Kafka, that's also where you might benefit from using Strato in terms of managing your data. And of course, what we did was that we mainly focused on the data mobility part, and how important the data is in terms of running these machine learning workflows, whether it's your training or the post inference, and how you manage your data post the inference of your machine learning model. But of course, when it comes to deployment, you can use multi-cluster Kubernetes deployment for managing of your machine learning models, for doing things like model versioning, and of course, when you are integrating your machine learning pipelines, and specifically within MLOps, which is basically workflow management for machine learning models. And of course, whether it's also doing things like data lake management, this is where multi-cloud also again comes into picture. Of course, our focus for this lightning talk was not on the deployment side, but more on how you manage your data. Of course, for that you can use the Strato project. And again, if you want to contribute, you can connect on the Soda Foundation Slack, and specifically contribute to the multi-cloud Soda Foundation project. And if you have come across any machine learning workflows, you can also contribute by sharing some use cases where you might have come across multi-cloud functionality for machine learning workflows. But yes, as more and more companies adopt machine learning, multi-cloud approach towards solving machine learning problems is the way to go, and it's definitely the future. It's already being used in large companies like Walmart. With that, I'll conclude my talk. Thank you so much, and I'll be open to questions.
In your previous slide, there's a word like Walmart.
I'm sorry, could you repeat? This slide are you talking about? Or?
Yeah, Walmart. What's the relationship with Walmart with your company or solutions?
I'm really sorry. Could you please repeat the question?
Walmart.
Word mouth?
Can you start with very first slide?
The first slide?
Yeah, so that one.
This one?
So Walmart Technology Platform and Services. What is that?
Which one are you talking about?
Left box, light box.
The light.
Element machine learning platform, right?
Yeah.
Then on the right, Walmart Technology Platform and Services. What is that?
Okay. All right. So yeah, basically that's an example showing that this is the platform that they are building for Walmart. What they have built for their multi-cluster machine learning deployment strategy. So basically, the platform that they use for doing the inference and the accompanying integrations and services that they run. So that is leveraging this machine learning platform.
So Walmart is your customer?
No. I'm just giving an example over here.
Oh, okay.
I'm not related to Walmart in any way.
There's no relationship, but you use Walmart.
Yeah, this is just primarily to showcase an example.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, and any questions? No? Yeah. Thank you very much.